Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to our podcast here, our weekly podcast. I've actually forgotten what number we are, but we're
25.
25.
We're at our silver jubilee.
Oh my God.
I know.
Like half a century of podcasts.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Half a century. Hold on. Quarter of a century.
Quarter of a century. Can't even do math. I'm terrible.
Esoterica.
Yeah. Come here for all of the facts. Before we move on today, let's a beer of the week. Our beer of the week this
Beer
week.
of the week.
Now, we've gone local.
We have gone local.
We've gone for a Hawke's Bay brewery. In fact, we've gone for the Hawke's Bay Brewing Company.
Yeah.
And when we started Beer of the Week, I always wanted to do a Hawke's Bay Brewing Company because Hawke's Bay Brewing Company is my favourite brewing company, bar none. Like,
oh, really?
Bar none.
Okay.
I think their beers are phenomenal. I don't think I've ever had a bad one from them, like, or one that I'm kind of like.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
Like, I always think that whatever it is, whether they're doing an APA, an IPA, their Black Duck porter or anything else like that.
Well, that's how I know them, because their Black Duck porter is fantastic. From the filter room.
Oh, yeah. Everyone I've ever had has always been great. It's always been great. Yeah. So we're drinking the pure lager, which I've never had before.
No,
I've never had this one before. So what are you thinking, Anthony, about the pure lager here from Hawke's Bay Brewing Company?
I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah.
And I know it must be a tied record by now.
Sort of going, it's really good.
We're constantly raving, and I guess that's actually down to the fact that we just pick decent
good
drinks.
beers.
Yeah. A good drip, but like this is really good. Very drinkable. Just I'm trying to think of new metaphors.
New adjectives to describe it. Yeah.
And it is. It's so nice. It's such a nice sort of change from the usual. I don't know. What do you think?
Okay, so I'm loving this. I am really loving this, and I am gonna say on the only scale that matters, I'm gonna say for me, this beer is a 9.9. So like,
whoa,
it is almost, for me, this is almost a perfect beer. I love this so much.
Wow.
I am a big fan.
It's really
high.
I'm
a big fan.
It's really high. Well, for once, I'm going to be the one undercutting
You're going to lowball me.
I'm going to lowball James.
Yeah.
So, for me, I really enjoy it. I think it's fantastic. I think it's so balanced in the most perfect way.
Yeah.
I'm going to say an 8.4.
Ooh, that's still good.
It's still really good. I mean,
that's still good.
This is fantastic.
Oh,
but
loving it. Absolutely loving it. So well done, Hawke's Bay Independent Breweries. I drive past the brewery every day on my way to work. So thank you so much. Love it.
Yeah, fantastic.
Keep up the good work.
Yeah.
All right. So moving on to what's on top this week.
What is on top this week?
So what's on top this week is we're actually going to talk about something that we've been kicking around for the last couple of weeks. We've sort of been talking a little bit about over the last couple of weeks, and something that we think is actually really important to talk about. So something probably slightly more serious than our last couple. We're going to talk about sex and sexual education, the way sex is presented to people, and just how important it is to have open and honest conversations about these things, whether it is between children and parents, whether it's between people who are in relationships, those kinds of things, and just and sort of, I think the negative ways in which these things can become taboo and become misrepresented when we sort of feel awkward about having these conversations.
Yeah, because whenever James and I have talked about this and producer Caroline, it's always come back to the same thing, that many of the problems we have surrounding sex in this day and age actually come down to the fact that no one feels comfortable talking about them.
Yeah.
So we started talking about, why do people feel uncomfortable about this subject, and what has, so we traced it back. We went back to education. That's basically what we want to talk about.
Well, we were sort of talking about, like, it was interesting because we were sort of saying, like, it's one of those taboo things, isn't it? It's like if I was sitting there and I had a problem in my relationship, or an emotional problem, or something like that. There's usually something that you will have a close friend that you can talk to about that. You'd be like, oh, hey, look, this is going on, or I'm feeling this way, or I'm whatever. And but we don't do that with sex.
No.
Like,
No.
we don't go to a friend and be like, hey, look, this is going on.
Well,
Or
there are
yeah?
exceptions to that, but in general, but certainly in general, that doesn't happen. Yeah.
Yeah, it's this massive taboo subject. It's this massive taboo subject. And so what we were talking about is sometimes a little bit in the way in which sex is talked about from the time that we are young. And there are lots of things that we sort of do, I think, to make this a taboo subject. So we talk about, or there's a lot of shame involved in sex, in the act itself, in anything that you like, in all of those things. There's a lot of taboo things. One of the things that I find difficult or hard, like, and I suppose I have to turn around and say at this point, like, I am a teacher. I teach. I have taught some health. I think that we, not so much in high school, but certainly earlier on, we gender sex education.
Yeah, an intermediate, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, we gender sex education. The sex education
Yeah.
boys get is different to the sex education girls get.
Yeah, so for those of you outside of New Zealand, I'm not sure. See, we can't speak on behalf of how other, but in New Zealand, what tends to happen is that an intermediate, that's when, and usually in usually it's your first year of intermediate.
Yes,
you get you get taught about puberty, and it's always about puberty. Like that's
what's
the
happening to your
course.
body, what's changing, all that.
So that you don't freak out.
Yeah. Oh my god, I've got hair. What happens?
Yeah. But that's
So one of the ways that in which this is gendered is the subjects that's covered. So whenever girls are taught about puberty and are taught about sexual urges, all of that sort of stuff, girls' sex education tends to focus a lot on the physicality. So a lot on things like menses, a lot on things like what goes on, things that can go wrong. So things like endometriosis, what it means to have your period, all of those sorts of things. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying those aren't valuable discussions. Those are valuable discussions. However, the sex education that boys get tend to be a little bit different. And the sex education that boys get tend to be around things like STIs, or STDs as they were in my day, but STIs now. Yeah. And funnily enough, and how this topic of conversation weirdly came up, masturbation. So boys get taught about masturbation in terms of, this is a thing that happens. This is, this is something that's natural, that it's fine, all of that sort of stuff. And so I suppose to a certain extent that removes the stigma about it. Like for boys, there's this kind of, this is a natural process. This is something that happens. It's
or the fact that that's actually even a topic of conversation in a school setting to begin with. It sort of it normalizes it completely, which is great because as it should be.
You're all gonna go through this.
However, in the adjoining room, I should say, girls are sitting watching a video about periods. Yeah, which is great, but a complete contrast to the acceptance of one's own body.
Yep. And girls generally aren't, or masturbation generally across it, again, it's different, but it's not normalized.
It's not
for girls, and it's not taught. It's not taught as something that is like, here's this you will have these urges. This is something that's completely natural and completely normal, in the same way that it's taught to boys. And I actually think
it's never about urges.
No,
at no point. And correct me if I'm wrong, but from all the conversations I've had with women about this, there is it's never brought up that women will have urges to have sex. It's never that. It's you will bear children.
Yeah.
If you become pregnant.
Yeah,
and have
yeah,
sex.
yeah,
It's
yeah. If
never
you have
about,
sex, you'll have children.
It's
Yeah.
never a pleasure
Yeah.
thing. It's
Yep.
always you could become pregnant. You
Yeah.
could, and it's never about urges.
Yeah, which is interesting, isn't it? Because again, we are patently aware that we are two men here talking
Yeah,
about
we're
women's
two
sexual
white men-
education.
yeah.
However, we have talked to a number of in preparation to do this. We have
Yeah.
talked to a number of women about the sexual education they received, either at home or at school or that sort of thing. And one thing that started to become patently obvious was obviously the differences in sexual education. So obviously the differences from what we received in terms of sexual education to what girls received. And the other thing that became patently obvious as well is how little of this is happening at home.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how and don't get me wrong, I understand that would be a really awkward conversation. Like I understand, like, I mean, God, the last thing I'd probably want to do is sit down with my parents whenever I was, 13, 14 and talk about sexual urges with my parents. Like, to me, that sounds horrific.
Yeah.
And I'm sure for most parents, it's probably a horrific concept,
yeah.
sort of sitting there and
Yeah.
talking about this and having an open and frank conversation about it.
Yeah.
However, in the very sort of act of not talking about it, you create this idea that it is something dirty or shameful or, that sort of thing. There's also this, I suppose there's a question about how much should schools be responsible for teaching healthy sexual relationships or those kinds of things?
Yeah, so do you think, James, it's gotten to a point, like, have you had any reason to believe that because this has become the standard to teach puberty, sexual health, that parents are now reliant on that, therefore they feel the need to have a hands-off approach. So, okay, this is being taught by teachers. I don't necessarily, like,
we'll just hand it over to
we'll
school.
hand it over. And,
I think, and like, I think that where I think that certainly sexual education in schools and things like that is really valuable is stuff whenever you're talking about the physicality of it. So the physicality of stuff like puberty, the physicality of, changes you can expect to see, that sort of stuff. I really think that's only sort of one half of the equation. Yeah. I think the other half of the equation is actually having open and frank discussions about healthy sexual relationships and what it means to be in a healthy sexual relationship, what you can expect from a healthy sexual relationship, those kinds of things. And to be honest, I don't really feel that is the role of the school.
No, it's not.
Like that really then becomes the role, I think, of home, to talk about those sorts of things, to talk about, what is a healthy sexual relationship versus abuse. What is a normal urge versus something that's very deviant. Those sorts of things. So that I mean, because there is, and I think we all, again, this is probably an uncomfortable subject, but there are, we can't say that people should talk openly and honestly about it if we won't talk openly and honestly about it. But I think that there are a lot of people for whom teenage years are difficult because there is a sense of shame and there is a sense of these dirty I must be the only one that thinks these things or experiences these things or that sort of stuff. And the reality of the situation, again, I think as you get a little bit older, you get a little bit better about talking about these things to people. You actually then come to realize that actually so many people go through these things and think these things, and it's actually completely normal. But we sort of create this area of stress and tension and things where there doesn't need to be. And I think that we allow kids and stuff to formulate their own opinions on it, but in a bad way, by just kind of going, turn a blind eye to it. Like, you do you kind of thing. And those aren't the sort of things
boys will be boys.
Yeah. Oh, God. I hate that.
I mean, it sort of ties into the whole... And I run the risk here of, for the first time ever on Esoterica, you'll see me make reference to the fact that I don't want to get sidetracked. I don't want us to get sidetracked. But this very much is relevant, and it plays into the idea of the whole, if stereotypically, fathers and things are worried about their daughter's getting pregnant.
Yep.
Whereas if their sons are out,
Yep.
scoring girls, it's the whole, oh man, my son's such a stud, whatever.
Yep.
Again, it's all funneling down. It all plays a part in this. It all
That different attitude
yeah,
to
a completely
sex.
different
Yeah.
attitude. Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's what causes so many problems in my mind, and what I've heard from people that
Yep.
we've talked to.
Yep.
It completely. Yeah, and it's actually why we've talked about this for a while now without talking about it on the podcast. 'Cause
Yeah,
we
yeah, yeah.
actually wanted to
Yeah.
really, because this is quite an important thing. We really wanted to talk to people and get quite a full idea of this.
Yeah.
And the more we talk
Yeah.
to people, the more we kind of realize that, oh my goodness, this is quite a widespread problem.
There's a giant disparity here, and there's a giant
Incredibly so,
disparity, men and women, and there's so many people that have found out things the hard way,
Yeah.
if you know what I mean. Like,
Yeah.
and I don't think it's an area that is something that people should be left to find out the hard way.
Yeah.
Like, because it can
still
be
important. It's
and
still
it can be
important.
incredibly damaging to find out the hard way.
Yeah.
And I think that it's so important. And I mean, I think that conversation from parent to kid is so important. But I also think that being able to be open, being able to be honest with your partner is hugely important.
Yeah.
And we tend to, again, because I think it's, we think of it as being shameful, or we think of it as being something that we shouldn't talk about, or and look, again, I'm not suggesting here that you bring it up at, dinner conversation with Granny. Do you know what I mean? Like that's, there are times and places for having these conversations, and maybe that is not one of them.
Yeah.
But, the conversation should still be had. And I think that we tend to downplay the role or the importance that a good healthy sexual relationship has on a romantic relationship. And we really downplay that, and we're like,
We
oh,
do.
that's not important. It's not about that. It's not that it gets pushed to the side. You should talk about whether you eventually see yourselves married, whether you want to have children, whether you see yourselves living in the country, whether you see yourselves doing this, all of these things,
White
your
picket
finances,
fence,
all of those sorts of things that we say you should be talking about this in a relationship. In a healthy relationship, you should be talking about these things. There should be open and honest communication about these things. At no stage do we say sex.
No.
Sex is important. It's an important part of your relationship, and it's an important thing that you should be talking about in an open and honest way.
And, I mean, you only have to look at divorce rates, and the reason people get divorced is quite often because of affairs, which are sexual in nature, which lead to people cheating on other people.
Well, because look, if you
even
like,
if they are,
if you like something,
by the way, I'm not justifying that behavior.
No.
I'm just,
if you
I'm
like
just,
something and the other person doesn't, it's not their thing. That's not going to change, and that's actually quite important to your relationship.
Yeah.
Like you can't just sweep that under the carpet and go, actually, that's going to be fine. Because again, they're some of our most primal urges, right? And if you are not getting what it is that you feel you need sexually within a relationship, then you're going to look outside for that. And eventually, it might not be within 2 weeks, 6 months, a year, 2 years, but eventually you are going to end up looking outside for that. And if you've never had that conversation, then number one, you quite often don't know about your partner, or
which is crazy, isn't it?
It's nuts.
Like you tend to, in a relationship, you tend to share everything, but for some reason, this becomes the crux of the relationship. The fact that you cannot communicate something that should be so integral to this relationship.
But we don't talk about it because it's not something that we talk about, and we can't talk about this, and it's shameful. The other thing is I believe it should be on the table like everything else. Like it should be like, if you're going to talk about your finances, you're going to talk about your career ambitions, you're going to talk about all those things, you should be talking about sex as well.
Yeah.
Because there will be people, and again, as you head through life, there will be people that you meet that are, to a certain extent, you might get on in terms of like we get on personally, we have similar aspirations, things like that. We are sexually incompatible. Yeah. And that actually has a huge weighting on your relationship.
It does. Yeah.
And you might sit there and go, it doesn't matter. Oh, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. It will not.
No.
In the long term,
it won't.
It will not be fine.
Yeah.
Because that's actually as you said, an integral part of that relationship, an integral part of what it means to be together, because sex should be, in a healthy, good relationship, should be a physical manifestation of the regard and the love that you have for each other. Something that is experienced together, and something that is enjoyed together, and something that I suppose symbolizes in a physical way your relationship with each other.
Yeah.
It's hugely important, and we almost get taught to go the other way, to be like, oh, it's not important. Oh, I don't have to talk about this. Oh, it's not.
As if it's beneath us, or whether you're somewhat animalistic if you. And that's the crux of it, isn't it? So if you cannot talk to someone about that, it's because of years of ingrained, I guess, sort of, I don't want to say indoctrination, but like, it's because something has failed you earlier down the road. It's because a conversation wasn't had, or you were felt to believe that it was somewhat wrong or dirty. And like James touched on earlier, yes, it is a difficult conversation for the parent to have with their kids. Too bad.
It's still a conversation.
I'm sorry, but like, too bad. I'm sorry, but life's like that. And as a parent, you quite often have to do uncomfortable things, and parents will know this. And look, and I'm not speaking to all parents, because I know a lot of parents out there are fantastic when it comes to open communication with their kids, and are fantastic parents, but find it really uncomfortable talking about sex or whatever. So that is a conversation you have to have. And if you don't have that conversation, you can't be surprised when your kid becomes molded by exterior forces, or their whole view on sex becomes twisted or warped or misguided because of exterior forces that have sort of pushed them astray, or and this is a big problem now. We talk about things like again, I don't want to derail it, but like, how can you expect a teenager who is going through so many things? They're going through puberty, there's hormones, they're learning more than they've ever learnt before, their brain is exploding or whatever. And how can you expect them to have an informed judgment on something so incredibly mature when they've had no guidance? They've had no guidance. They've had some to little guidance from teachers, because teachers cannot teach them everything they can about. And to be frank, in my view, that isn't a teacher's job necessarily. And if they're not going to teach them, who will? Okay, they're friends. They're friends who are just as ignorant as they are.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where have they learnt their information? From terrible sources like internet pornography or whatever, which is a terrible source of information for that kind of thing. So you cannot turn around and be surprised when people grow up to be utterly confused and misguided about sex. And about things, and and people, things like, and it's why it riles me up when people say, well, that's ridiculous that we have to teach people about consent. And yes, on the one hand, you should expect people to have a moral compass and should be able to make these decisions. But how can you expect these misguided people to fully understand something when they haven't even been taught the basics of that fundamental thing? So,
oh, look, I don't think I could have said it any better, Anthony. I think that
wow,
it's
that struck a chord with me.
it's exactly true, and these are uncomfortable conversations, but they're conversations that need to be had. So,
they are.
Parents to children, they need to be had.
Yeah.
Children to parents, they need to be had.
Have a drink before you
have a drink. Not children. Don't have a drink first.
Parents
have a drink first.
Don't.
And between people who are in relationships with each other. These are important conversations. It's an important thing to have. It's uncomfortable maybe, but honestly, it will be. You will feel a huge sense of relief when you do.
And on that note, and just as James has said, if you work up the courage to have this conversation with your partner, okay, and you manage to spill your heart out and maybe reveal some things that you've you've really struggled to get across. If your partner reacts poorly to what you say, or if they make you feel bad for it, then you will know that that person is not the person for you. Because if they can't accept you for who you are, then kick them to the curb.
And I mean, that's not to say that everybody should accept everything
but that's,
at all, but again,
Oh, no.
but again, those things need open and
It's a-
frank conversation.
Exactly.
And you're right.
Yeah.
If you are not compatible in that way, you are not going to be compatible in general.
I mean, if they belittle you. I don't
Absolutely.
mean. By the way, I don't mean if they go. I'm not very comfortable with that. Wah! I'm not saying if they say, "Look, I respect that you that, but I'm not into that." I'm not saying that. I'm saying if they make you feel awful and actually, then they're not worth it.
Keep it safe. Don't harm any of the people. But
It's right. If no one's getting hurt,
but have
cares?
have those open and honest conversations.
yeah, exactly.
Cool.
That was really nice. That was so wholesome.
I like it.
And look, and you know what? This whole conversation, it's not a current conversation. This is a conversation that's been going on for a very long time in terms of generations of people. To the point where I was nervous about having this conversation.
Yeah.
Because again, this conversation has been deeply ingrained into me for me to feel uncomfortable about it.
Yep.
You know.
But we felt it was important
Yeah.
for us to be the change we want to see
Yeah.
and actually have this conversation. Moving on to Uncanny Valley, and I've got a couple of things for you this week for Uncanny Valley. But the first one we're going to touch on is a story coming from Air New Zealand, and this comes on the back of somebody who messaged Air New Zealand. I believe it was tweeted them. Is the original way how this came.
Twitter's the way you communicate with companies now.
Absolutely, everybody knows that unless it's unless it's on Twitter,
email,
it's not.
Forgo support.
Yep.
Just tweet them.
Yeah, and unless it's on Twitter, it doesn't even count.
Yep.
So,
did it get favorited and retweeted?
I think so. I think it was because so many people were so angry about it. But this comes from a gentleman who has a problem with Air New Zealand, and it's quite a major problem. He was quite upset about this, and this problem is that he thinks that with the rise in diabetes and tooth decay, that it's horrific that Air New Zealand asks children to hand out sweets on their flight.
Does it ask children to do it?
Yep. So quite often in New Zealand, they'll come around, they'll find a child, and they'll give them...
Find a child?
Just find a child. Just any random child.
Just child labour or what?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, they're, for the purposes of health and safety, employed by Air New Zealand for about 15 seconds.
Yeah.
Why
a child?
It's an ACC nightmare.
Why do they get a child to do this?
Oh, because I don't know. It's cute, and children like sweets. I have
handing
no
them
other
out.
reason.
They're giving them
They
away.
are, but then
It's really
they
actually cruel
they
when you
get to
think about
take
it.
2 or 3 with them afterwards, and it's a good
that's how they get
PR thing.
how they get them.
Yeah, they're like, come with me, little child. I have some sweeties, right? So they'll come along and they'll ask a child or whatever. If there's not children on the flight, they'll just do it themselves.
They'll get
the
next best
thing.
Yeah, begrudging teenager.
Who's got the whole emo fringe, and it's just like, but Mom, you don't understand. I don't want the sweets.
Have a sweet, whatever. I don't care.
Whatever, I don't care. Anyway, yeah. So he has a problem with the fact that they hand out sweets on their flights, right? Because tooth decay. So he's because he's a solution-oriented man. Mm-hmm. Which we like. We like solution-oriented people.
Not just.
He's suggested an alternative to sweets that should be handed out in every flight, and that alternative is prunes. So this man is like, instead of handing out sweets, we should hand out prunes to everybody. And the backlash on Twitter, oh my God. Like, you would think that this person had joined a neo-Nazi cult and had suggested that we massacre Jews, like, on every flight. Like, people were not impressed with this prune suggestion.
I'm actually going to offer this is unexpected.
Okay.
But I'm actually going to offer something sort of mildly in support of this guy.
Oh, God.
So, in high school, and I know the moment I start speaking about this, I don't know if this person watches the podcast. Probably not. But hopefully people will direct her to watch it.
Yes.
Now, I'm not going to say by name, but we went on a drama trip to Norfolk Island.
Yeah.
That's how all good
Oh,
stories
good
start.
story start. One time on drama camp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we were on a New Zealand flight.
Yes.
And
They gave you Prunes.
no, they gave us the lollies.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
as anyone who's been on an Air New Zealand flight will know, you get given these sort of these lollies, and they're in clear packaging.
Yeah, Habbo sweets.
With the
yeah,
Air New Zealand branding on them.
Yeah.
And they are all sort of different colours and things.
Yeah.
And this woman, she had a lolly, and I can laugh about it now. At the time, it was terrifying. She had a lolly, and now we used to joke about this. Those lollies are like glass. They're like glass. I mean, if you crunch into it, they're jagged. Like, you've got to be very careful. You just suck them.
Yeah.
Don't bite it.
Well, that's kind of the purpose of them. Yeah.
So, this girl at the time, she actually cut her mouth open
Jesus.
while eating.
On an Air New Zealand lolly.
It was it was bad. It was bad. And I'll be mentioning her in the. I'll actually use Twitter to tag her in this.
Yeah.
And by all means, like, she's not like someone like this is a really bizarre thing to happen.
Yeah.
And it was actually a real, like, really scary, and like, she actually cut her inside her mouth.
That's it.
And it was awful. And we were really to the point where I think on the return trip we were like, no, thank you. To the lollies, like, we know what these could do.
I've completely, in the light of that story, I've completely revised my opinion.
Yeah,
I think
they're scary.
we
They're
should
scary. But of course, the whole point is and I think this was probably addressed on Twitter.
Yeah.
The reason they give lollies out is for your ears.
Yeah.
To suck and you
get saliva, which makes you swallow
yeah.
lots, which it helps with your eardrums.
Yeah.
I just thought that, what would be better than giving people sweets on a flight and potentially causing tooth decay? Because, it's kind of like...
By the way, is tooth decay on the rise? Is that true?
No. But it's kind of like the reefer, from a 1950s PSA. It's kind of one of those things like you have one sweet and that's it, or your teeth are gonna fall out.
Ladies and gentlemen,
just one sweet.
James just referred to weed as the reefer.
That's actually
he's a 65-year-old man.
That's actually in the
reefer
in the 1950s in the PSAs. That's how they referred to it. They referred to it as the reefer.
Not the devil's letters.
No, and in fact, the title of the PSA. This is an American PSA. The title of the PSA was Reefer Madness, about these people who had one weed cigarette and just their whole lives fell to bits, because that's what happens. And it's the same thing whenever you eat one lolly. That's it. You are now a diabetic whose teeth are falling out. That's how lollies work. I don't know if you know this at home, but that's actually how sweets work.
Yeah.
So this guy was quite upset about this. So he suggested prunes, and I just thought, what do you want? You don't want people, what do you call it? Sucking sweets and regulating their ear pressure, the pressure in their eardrums. You don't want that. Side effects, teeth falling out. What you do want is to give people prunes so that they can eat it. As the plane descends, they just evacuate their bowels.
The mad rush for
the mad rush for the bathroom. Yeah.
Prunes.
Keep you nice and regular.
Aren't they incredibly high in sugar content?
Yes.
No, think about
yes,
it. No,
they are.
They are, aren't they?
They're hugely high in sugar content. Yes.
What?
And nobody sucks a prune.
So
you don't suck a prune. You eat a prune, right?
It wouldn't surprise me if they had more sugar than the lollies that they provide.
Yeah.
The glass lollies.
The glass lollies.
What do you-
Yeah. Here we go. This is point of clarification here from producer Caroline.
Fletch, Fawn and Megan talked about it on their show, and I think
Caroline's just said that Fletch, Fawn and Megan talked about it on their show.
Ah.
We're big fans, by the way.
I think one of them brought up the fact that one prune had 13 grams of sugar.
Yes.
And a
13
teaspoon
grams.
Has like 3 or 4 grams.
Okay.
There
so you are.
You heard it from Fletch, Fawn and Megan.
So it's a lot.
13 grams of sugar in a prune, whereas a normal teaspoon has 3, did you say?
5.
Oh, 5.
Yeah.
5 grams of sugar.
It's like
so there you
3
are.
times the
So
amount.
it's nearly 3 times the amount. So just do away with the prunes. Just give them spoons full of sugar. Helps the plane go down.
We were so close to getting through an entire podcast without James doing a dad joke. No, that was good. That was good. That was actually decent. That was decent. That was good.
That's never going to happen. That's never going to happen on a podcast.
That was good. No, I appreciate that because I was thinking of that, and to be fair,
you just didn't want to say it.
was thinking of jokes.
Yeah.
But you nailed it.
Nailed
that was good. That was good.
Okay. Right. Okay. So moving on. I think. Are you in favour of prunes on planes?
I actually really like prunes.
Would you rather have a prune than a glass lolly?
Yes. Oh, yes. I'll never have a glass lolly again. I've had PTSD. Glass lollies. No.
Nah, I love the glass lollies. Keep the glass lollies,
No.
especially the white ones that taste like mint.
My brother always complained to me because sorry, I'm going on like flight stories now.
Yeah.
But he made a tweet not long ago. Like he made fun of me because we had a half an hour flight from I think like Wellington to Nelson.
Did you get your cookie?
In fact, I can probably read the tweet. No, I can't because I don't have my phone. But the tweet was basically and because he was calling me out about something.
Yeah.
And he was like, "You're the same person who on a half an hour flight complained that there was no coffee provided, and then when you got given a biscuit, you struggled to open the packaging and got upset about that." So, yeah.
So what you're saying is we should disregard your opinion on airplane food. I feel like there's a Jerry Seinfeld joke in there. How about that airplane food? What's up with that? Anyway, so moving on to the second thing that we're going to do for Uncanny Valley this week. And now, I was scrolling through Facebook as I want to do every now and then, because we all know that the best things come from Facebook. And I found
we literally did a whole podcast about why you should delete your Facebook.
Yes, that's right. So I was scrolling through the Facebook and I found this thing that claims, right, that they found tweets, right, from a subreddit about top things that white people say.
I'm looking forward to that. I love these.
So what I want to do is I'm going to go through some of these, right, Anthony? And I want you to tell me whether you have ever in your life said this.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay?
Yeah, I love this.
We're gonna measure your level of whiteness. Okay? Yeah. Okay. So here, white people love saying white people love saying, "What are they doing back there? Killing the chicken when the food is taking too long?"
Yeah. Or in its fish, they're like, "Oh, so you're going and fishing it out there."
Yeah. And I have to admit, I'm guilty of that one too. I'll be like, "Oh, clearly there."
You are. I think I've been.
Clearly they're growing the potatoes out there. Yep.
You're so fucking Irish.
It's just it. It's just
you're like. Is this potato ice cream?
Because you mocked me. It's because you mocked me about potato ice cream last week, and I love that you mocked me about it. And then I was like, "It tastes like the way potato smells," and you were like,
"Here we go, yes, the justification." No, here we go. No, fair enough.
Right.
No,
okay.
No.
So both 100%. I've said that before. I've said that. What are they doing? Are they killing it or growing it out there before when the fruit's taking too long? You have too. I've been with you when you've done it. Okay. Second one. Okay, second one.
Okay, yeah.
White people love saying, "There's my cardio for the day," after walking up a flight of stairs.
Yep, I'm done. Our break room at work's up a flight of stairs.
I haven't said that. Have you said that? Is that a go-to for you?
No, I haven't specifically said that, but I've done the whole thing where I've gone up the stairs and I've been like, oh, after football or training or whatever, I've been like, oof. And like, I've looked behind to a co-worker and I've been like, "Mate, I know you went for a run last night. Like, this is going to be, like, a bit sore going up there. We've done that whole
okay.
thing.
Sorry, can I interrupt
Right.
here?
Yes, you may,
We
Producer
all
Caroline.
lived at Faraday. That has 77 stairs.
Yeah, 76.
76.
Like
It goes
the
up every
trombones.
time we talk about it.
Yes.
76 stairs.
Yes.
I guarantee you, every single one of us has said when someone new has come to the house, "Oh, that's all your cardio you need for the day."
Okay, yeah, no, probably.
No, actually, I forgot about that.
Yeah,
yeah, no,
yeah,
you're
yeah.
right,
To be
you're
fair,
right.
so we have all lived in the same house, bizarrely, at different times. But we've all lived
It's
in
like
the
a
same house.
sitcom.
It is like a sitcom, and it was up.
really
It was
bad
up
sitcom.
76 stairs, and Producer Caroline just reminded us that we probably mentioned that to everyone.
Yeah.
That
In
was
fact, I
upstairs.
think the night I met Caroline, we got halfway up the stairs and we're like, "Let's set up camp here." tonight." And
That's the other
we'll
one.
get there.
That's not in here.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
like the
yeah.
whole walking up
Let's
a giant
set up
flight.
camp
Let's set up base camp
Yeah,
here and carry
yeah.
on in the morning.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Here's another one. White people love saying, not getting far without these when coming back for their keys they forgot.
Yes. No, do you know the counter to that?
Yeah.
It's when your workmates say, "Oh, good morning."
Yeah, yeah.
Because they come back and it's just classic. We do that all the time. Co-worker did that today
Yeah.
when they
Yeah.
he came back after having been at work since 4 o'clock in the
Yeah.
morning. He came back in.
Yeah.
Oh no, it was yesterday. He came back and I was like, "Oh, is it 4 o'clock in the morning?" Just because he had to come in early. It's not. Yeah.
So have you said that before? Have you said not going far without these? I've 100%
Not
said this.
those exact words. I worded it, and I think in a different way.
Yeah.
But pretty much.
Yeah.
Come on,
Okay.
pretty much. Yeah.
White people love saying, "Ooh, these are dangerous," after trying a new snack.
That's us every time we
Yeah.
try a beer of the week.
Yeah,
we're like,
yeah.
Ooh,
Ooh,
this
that's
is
dangerous.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
White people love saying, "Well, I loosened it up for you after asking someone to help open a jar, and then they open it with ease."
I think that's
Yeah.
more to do with crippling masculinity.
Yes, yeah. I've 100% said that.
Yeah.
White people love saying, "Well, I'll sure to be stay off the road" when somebody gets their driver's license.
Yes. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Clear the roads.
Yeah.
You know, I'm
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
You're likely to kill someone. Okay. White people love to use the bathroom before leaving a restaurant and come out shaking their hands dry, saying, "Ready to rock and roll?"
Yeah, no, I'm not
Yeah.
doing that specifically, but
Yeah.
leaving a restaurant and being
Okay,
like,
yeah,
let's
yeah.
rock
Ready
and
to
roll.
rock? Yeah, yeah. Ready
Yeah,
to
let's
rock,
rock and
yeah.
roll. Yeah,
100%.
leaving. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
white people love saying, "What's the damage?" when getting the check.
All right, what's the damage?
What's the damage?
Yeah.
Yep.
What's the damage?
So
Yeah.
I've done that.
100%.
I've done this. I do this all the time. I do this when I come to your house. White people love saying "knock knock" out loud instead of knocking.
Yeah. That actually happened today. Because, like, you know, obviously, like, just, you know, the whole thing is like, just come in. Like, you know, we're not like, James, you've got to knock.
Yeah,
if
yeah.
you come in. No, and I thought it was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. I got a very warm greeting whenever I came in. Yeah.
he just,
Hi, honey.
hey, honey, let me take those for you.
Yeah.
And, like, you know.
I was like, "Oh, I've never felt so welcome."
I'm a great boyfriend.
You are. White people love to say, "Well, we came at the right time," when the line gets really long behind them in a restaurant.
Yes. Yep. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
100%.
Last one.
Okay.
Last one. White people love saying, "Get these away from me," after eating a few chips.
And they'll pick it up and sort of turn it around.
Yeah. Get those away from me.
Like, you
Like,
know,
yeah.
like, oh, no,
Yeah.
I can't, you know. And, you know, you offer them back, but, oh, no.
No.
Couldn't possibly.
No. So
That was
you're
fantastic.
on
It
on
was
the only
really
scale
great.
that matters, Anthony.
Yeah.
How white are you?
I'm probably
According to that list, how white are you?
according to that list, I'm about an 8.
Yeah, I'm an 8 or a 9.
Yeah.
An 8 or a 9 on the whiteness scale.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. 30-second waffle. All right, 30-second waffle.
I think I'm
now
starting.
you are starting.
Yeah, 'cause
I
last week I
trying
made
to
a
remember,
big
you
deal about
did
James
make a big
starting.
deal about me starting. So,
This is spooky.
and we've had lots from the Instagram this week. So thank you for everybody that
We
submitted
have from
questions
the Instagram.
from the Instagram,
Yeah.
capitalized the Instagram. So
Justin
thank you
Timberlake.
thank you to everybody who actually submitted questions this week.
Don't
we
thank
will get round to
No, don't
answering
thank
all
them.
of them.
Don't thank them. We don't know what they are.
Anthony's really worried. Anthony's really worried about this. Okay,
Because
so-
I had a disclaimer, actually. I'm not going to say why, but
Yeah.
producer Caroline actually said to me, "Now, Anthony, redacted, but redacted." And I started going, no.
Yeah.
But Caroline went, no, redacted, but redacted.
Yeah.
And I was sort of like, fine, I trust your opinion.
And when you hear it put like that, you can understand why.
Exactly.
So, all right,
Well, we'll see.
you're up.
It's going to crack me up if it's this question. Okay, so it says special up the top. Is it this question?
Ah, yes, I'm so glad you pulled this
It's
one.
this question. It literally says special up the top.
Who's it from?
This is from Chris JDSS.
Okay.
Yep. Cool. Hi, Chris. The question is...
Oh, good God. This
Okay, here we go. Did you spell anything?
Are these words? Like, what is
Okay.
this? This is like Egyptian hieroglyphics.
I'll try this, but you better
Yeah.
pause that timer.
Yeah.
Why a Minions musical with songs from top 40 artists could be good for the theatre world? That's actually a phenomenal question. Don't start the timer yet. No, okay, fair enough.
Oh, that's an amazing question.
A Minions musical with songs from the top 40 artists could be good for the theatre world purely because it would bring a lot of people to the mainstream. A lot of mainstream people to the theatre world. And what it would actually do is create yet another jukebox musical using a cult sort of favourite, your little yellow Tic Tac fuckers from Facebook into a musical that would appeal to both young and old, and it would hopefully expand their knowledge into a greater musical world.
There you go. That actually was a good question. I understand why all the redacted bits now were in there. Like,
it was a very good question.
That was a very good question.
It would be terrible, and it would actually turn musical theatre more into down that jukebox.
Minions the musical.
Minions the musical. Did you see them in their little suits?
Yeah.
Their stupid eye, and like people, like the actors trying to peer through this, like
doing
cyclops.
the minion dance.
What's that?
I don't know. Like you'd have to come up.
atrocity.
You'd have to come up
Because
with something.
they're horrible. Minions are horrible.
You'd have
They do evil's bidding.
Well, you'd have to come up with something, wouldn't you, for like a "We Are the Minions" kind of number at the beginning.
We Are
wouldn't
the
you?
Minions.
You know, you'd have to come up with something, wouldn't
It'll
you?
be like the producers.
Yeah, pretty much.
I don't want to say it, but I mean,
Yeah. All right,
it would be fascist.
give it.
They
Alright.
are minions. They're doing evil's bidding.
Give me a question. Right. Okay.
They were involved in the Holocaust. They were. No, they were. No, that's canon. You can't. You can't.
Oh, yeah.
That's canon.
This is from Instagram, and this is from Mackle Mac.
It's Tom. Hi, Tom.
Cows can only say moo and bitch, but only say. Cows can. I think this is cows can actually say moo and bitch, but only say moo because they are polite. I don't even know how I'm going to go about justifying this. Okay. Cows are well known for being incredibly polite creatures. You see this as they all stand around in fields, talking to each other, just hanging out. There's very rarely any... Do you see the incidences that you see in the human population on cow violence? I don't think so. There's no cows trying to dispossess other cows of their land, or lend them money and then foreclose their house whenever they can't pay. So, of course, they always use the polite moo rather than bitch.
It was good. It was good considering that was a friggin' hilarious question.
It's
It was
phenomenal.
really funny.
Well done, Tom. That's a
Next
phenomenal
time.
question.
A good answer as well.
Right, okay.
Really good answer.
Right, okay.
It was really good.
Moo and bitch. Right,
There
okay.
you go.
You're up.
And it's nice knowing, like, even if you go first, this is my last one. Whereas you.
Yeah, I know. I
have
still got one to go.
Yeah,
I
that's
can't
how
even.
they
I
get-
can't
yeah.
even relax. Producer Caroline's trying to get us to do more.
Oh, this is exciting. So Joanne Lewis.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Joanne, by the way. Do you get offended by the word soccer? So, in this case, I need to justify why soccer is correct over football.
Yeah.
Okay. So, the biggest... oh, no, I better wait. Sorry.
Yeah, you've got some time to think.
Goodness
You've
me.
got some time to
Gotta
think.
think.
You're straight in there. You're straight
So
in.
in terms of money and entertainment, the United States of America is the biggest producer of sports in terms of financial gain. And in saying that, football has a completely different meaning in the United States. Of course, we talk about the NFL. And so, therefore, we should be calling football soccer the world over because in terms of the money and the population, and we should be calling it, just to allay any confusion, the world over. We should be calling it soccer. And I hate myself for saying that because it's all rubbish. It should be football.
Because it's absolutely
It's
football. It's absolutely football. All right, cool. Here we go. Producer Caroline wants us to do 3, not 2.
Really? Oh, okay. We
All
can do
right,
that.
so we can do 3. So special
How we like
bonus
this
one.
one?
So
Yeah.
special bonus one. Okay. This is from Chris JDSS again as well.
Oh, nice. Yep.
Why chicken chips are better than any other chip flavor, past and present or future?
I think
Okay, chicken chips being the best
But I think
out of
you
any,
kind of agree with that,
no.
Oh, no, you're a salt and vinegar
No. Okay. Chicken chips are the best chips of any flavor, past, present, or future, because just look at how long chicken chips have been around. So chicken chips are one of the oldest flavors of chips, right up there with ready salted and salt and vinegar. Every single brand of chips that you know does a chicken chip. Now, nobody really sits there and goes, you know what I feel like? A ready salted. Yeah? Too much salt and vinegar burns the top of your mouth. So chicken chips, way to go, every time. Which is a complete lie. I hate chicken chips.
Do you hate them?
I do.
I like them.
I especially hate
But
bluebird.
you like salt and vinegar. You
No,
like-
I don't.
You don't?
I like spring onion or like
Nice.
green onion or
Yeah.
or a sour cream and chive would be my chip of choice.
Nice.
But like they I don't know. Like I'm sure Bluebird did something to their chicken chips. They changed the flavoring on them, and the flavoring
They're
on
quite
them is
overwhelming.
gross.
Yeah,
it's
quite
so gross.
overwhelming.
It doesn't
Doesn't taste.
it doesn't taste like
either.
chicken. Like it tastes like
Nothing
something
tastes like
that's
chicken.
It's like they,
Nothing. Not even chicken tastes like.
no, but they've taken a chip and they've walked it past a chicken and gone, that's now chicken flavored. Like it doesn't taste like chicken. I don't know what it tastes like, but it certainly does not taste like chicken. All right, so bonus one. So we're going to do an extra
Bonus
one.
round.
An
Okay.
extra one. So there you
Okay,
go.
okay.
There's only one in there, so you can have the last one there.
Okay.
Right.
So this is from I am Hannah F.
Ooh.
Hi Hannah.
Hi, Hannah.
I'm nervous about this. Okay. So the question is. The statement rather is Coldplay is underrated. I was actually talking to Coldplay with one of my good friends today.
You're talking to Coldplay.
I was talking to
tight.
Coldplay with
Yeah.
my friend.
You're real tight.
It's bad.
You and Chris
Phrase.
Martin. Yeah.
Coldplay is underrated because I feel like it became really, really popular in the early 2000s to jump on the hate bandwagon about them simply because they weren't an indie band and that they were popular but they had originated from the same roots that a lot of indie bands in the late 90s had. So Coldplay actually has some underrated gems in their discography, including Chinese Sleep Chant on Viva La Vida, produced by Brian Eno, which is fantastic, and one of the best dream pop songs of the last decade, actually plus 15 years. So In Your Face, they are underrated simply because you losers are too cool for school.
Coldplay sucks.
No, it doesn't.
It really does. I hate Coldplay.
Coldplay have some great stuff. They have some
Here we
dumb-
go,
they have some crap
yellow.
stuff.
Yeah.
They have some crap stuff,
Yeah.
but they have some good stuff. They aren't
They're so
like
whiny.
a lot of pop. Like a lot of pop, they're very predictable at times.
So whiny.
But like you can't in the same way that I think people go into Coldplay expecting something different to what they're gonna get. So like, for example, whenever you listen to like normal pop, people seem to give exceptions to it because they're like, oh, it's just pop, it's just dance music. I'm going to the club, I'm just dancing. But whereas with Coldplay, people don't give that same exception.
Well, to be fair, I'll give you that. People go into a Coldplay album expecting something different. They expect something good, and they get something fucking rubbish. So that's Coldplay for you. Right? Okay. Cool. Last one. Here we go. I'm interested to see what this one is. So this is John Lewis again.
All right.
Why all weed smokers are exactly like the stoner stereotype.
Nice.
I'm unsure that I am qualified to answer this question. Okay, let me think about this. All weed smokers are exactly like the stoner stereotype because there is a reason that stereotypes exist. The stereotype exists because that's actually what the majority of weed smokers are like. And even if weed smokers are not like that to begin with, there's this feeling of having to live up to the stereotype. So to be the kind of person that you would expect to see from a weed smoker. Because if you smoke weed, you just have to be like that. Smoke weed every day. 420, blaze it up.
That's a soundbite. Capture that. and use it to destroy James's future political career. I always get nervous when people like. I mean, it's 30-second waffle, so obviously it's all like it's part of the game. James just having a laugh, but I always get nervous when I hear people say stereotypes exist for a reason.
Some stereotypes exist for a reason. No, I don't think.
Question.
It was a very good question. I don't think that everybody that smokes weed fits a stoner stereotype, or like. And I mean, I'm assuming by what you mean by the stoner stereotype is kind of like, or what I think of as being the stoner stereotype is kind of like the hey man, like you know, California surfer dude kind of stoner, like the what's up guys kind of like
Seth
stoner
Rogen.
stereotype.
Basically
That's what
Seth
I
Rogen.
think when I think of the stoner stereotype. Not all stoners fit that stereotype. Not all people who smoke are weed.
Hashtag not all stoners.
Hashtag or not all stoners. Equality for stoners. Not all people who've
No.
smoked a weed cigarette. The devil's lettuce. Injected one weed needle.
Lay off the marijuana
like that.
tablets. friend.
Yes. Yep. Don't. Just be careful. Just be careful with those weed needles. Not everybody who does drugs reacts in the same way, and that is actually bizarrely with the proposed bill going through in terms of legalizing weed here in New Zealand. That's one of the arguments against it, is that not everybody reacts in the same way. Not everybody has the same sort of outcomes and things like that from using drugs.
Cool. So they'll legalize alcohol soon, right? Because of that logic.
Legalize alcohol. It's already
Make it
legal.
illegal.
No, it's already legal.
No, make it illegal.
Why would they make it illegal?
Because not everyone reacts the same way.
Okay, I'll put another thing to you.
Bum, bum, bum.
I'll put another thing to you. New Zealand's going to be smoke-free by 2025, yet we're legalizing marijuana for recreational use. Not for medicinal use. For
Marijuana
recreational
doesn't
use.
contain an element like nicotine that makes it incredibly addictive.
Contains THC, which has an effect on the chemical makeup of your brain.
No, but it's not going to have the same effect on your lungs as tobacco. It doesn't.
Still,
Research shows
No.
it's not as bad
I'm
for
not
you.
saying it's not as bad for your lungs. It's worse for your brain.
A developing brain.
100% worse for your brain.
No, a developing brain.
No, not even. It has a greater effect on a developing brain. Still has an effect on a brain.
But so does this.
The THC. Yeah, I'm not arguing it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. I think it's funny that on one hand we're going, smoking's bad, we should ban it. But at the same time we're going, legalizing weed, we should do
as
it.
an aside, I also don't think we should be I don't think we should be making tobacco illegal.
No, I don't either.
Yeah.
I also don't think.
No,
I
it
think
be
we
making
should
illegal.
decriminalize
I'm
marijuana as well.
always very concerned when a government makes anything illegal.
Oh, absolutely. And I think we should be decriminalizing weed, and I think we should be certainly legalizing it for medicinal use. Absolutely. 100%.
For sure.
Okay, so thank you for joining us on what has been a really weird podcast. We've gone from very serious topics at the
James.
beginning
Thank you.
to no. Thank you.
No.
No.
You.
Thank you.
I insist.
I insist more. So we thank you for joining. This is what happens. You see, we try to wrap up and we try to be serious about stuff, and it just never goes the way that we planned. Pop across and join us on streams.
Literally pop.
Literally pop. Just pop out of your chair.
I don't see you popping.
Join us on our streams on a Sunday night and a Wednesday night at 7:30. We're very close to finishing off Alien Isolation. I'm so stuck in the mindset of Prey. Alien Isolation, and Anthony and I have been talking about some games that we can play coming up. So a couple of stuff that we're going to play together, and then maybe some individual stuff as well we can do as schedules get a bit hectic for us all. If you'd like to submit a question for the 30-second waffle, you can do that on Discord or on Instagram. Thank you very much. We will see you next week.
Have the week you want to have. If you want. It's up to you.
Ka kite anō.